Tonight on the Black Channel, we've always told you white supremacy doesn't take a holiday. Neither do we. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. We're not sitting around the table with cornbread, stuffing, and turkeys. We're hanging a few of them out to dry here, and I want to thank all of you here for joining us. You won't hear any splaining. Contacted some people to make sure they were where they would be, and if they don't show up, then you know what they're doing. Real, recognize real. Big shout out here to my man, the Kit Kat Man, Black First, as always. Thank you very much, brother, for giving real service, not lip service, and I appreciate everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here. That's the kind of thing that we want to see. And you're going to want to drop something because this is going to be an important program in particular here. As you know, this is the kind of thing that folks don't talk about here. And we warned you for a long time here. It's a coming out day. This is coming out day for white supremacists. This is coming out day for them because a number of them now. You're seeing that now they're getting a little bolder about it. Now, this was posted on Twitter, as you can see, just yesterday. Just yesterday, this went up. Just yesterday. And I spent all this time talking about chess moves. I spent all this time discussing chess moves and telling people exactly what that would look like. And sure enough, these folks understand. You might not have a whole lot of cover to attack Jews or Asians, but you will always be given permission to attack black people. And you'll all remember here for the longest time, and thank you very much to everybody who's contributed there in the super chat. We appreciate that from you here, Kay, Cyberdyne, Be Real, everybody else here on CashApp and PayPal. Thank you very much for your support here tonight. For those of you who are the real ones, if you'll all remember from day one, we here in the new Black Media have had our eyes and our ears and our boots on the neck of one Elon Musk from day one. We've been watching all these so-called white folk from Africa. Charlize Theron and the others, we have had our eye on them from day one, and we've never cut any slack. And now that he feels he's safe, now that he feels he is comfortably safe, now the real thing is beginning to slither its way on out. And you're seeing what they're starting with. They're not ending with us. They're starting here. Everything we said about this suspected Afrikaner, everything that we have said about this suspected Afrikaner since day one. And folks were saying, you don't have any proof of that. Remember the white folks back then? You said, you don't have any proof of that. No, all it is he was born in South. You don't have any proof of that. You don't have any proof for that. Now you don't hear much of anything going on there right now. Now do you? You don't hear anybody saying it now. Why do you think that is? Because now it's in black and white, something that we've been saying the entire time. And this is just one among several, by the way. He's been throwing all kinds of little veiled things here for a minute and liking all kinds of right-wing and alt-right things for a minute. Now, there's been a couple of folks, was that Rams Paul and some other people. All of a sudden now he's getting bolder with it. He's getting bolder with it. So when you look around and you realize that in Silicon Valley, if you look around and realize the white folk make all the money, their channels aren't suppressed. The white folk make all the money. But then when it comes to black folk, all of a sudden your channels are quieted and buried and suppressed and blacklisted. They tell you can't get any venture capital. It's not accidental, man. This is not accidental. When you see this kind of thing happening, it's not, I'm letting you know that all this time, these are the folks who own these things. These are the folks who've gotten, in this case here, billions of dollars in subsidies. Billions. Remember, Elon Musk's SpaceX is basically taxpayer subsidized. NASA's not sending up the rockets anymore. Elon Musk is taxpayer subsidized with SpaceX. For those of you who did not know, that's taxpayer subsidized. This isn't some wonderkind who came up with a fantastic idea. This is taxpayer subsidized. I'm not sure who's saying, those of you who say it's not in focus, you might want to get that Commodore 64, that track phone that you're using. You might want to get that updated. I'll just say that you might want to get your internet service updated for you there. It's you might want to get that track phone updated for you. Might want to get it updated. It's the year 2022. That iPhone 3 is not going to get it. That iPhone 3 is not going to get it. It's not our fault that you've been sitting up here working for Postmates and you ain't been able to get your money right to get that iPhone 3 upgraded. Nigga, you 10 generations behind. It's time to catch up. I'm just saying. That iPhone 3 is not, I know you hanging in there. Money ain't never been right. Your money ain't never been right. So now it's not clear. Dude, you got a BlackBerry. Man, what are you talking about? The screen is fine. However, for you track phone flip, for you Motorola Razr users, Andy Ngo, as you all know, well-known alt-right supporter. One of these dudes they go to and they say, hey, take a look, we got minorities to support us on this. He put up a post talking about hands up, don't shoot is one of the biggest hoaxes to come from the American left in the last decade. That big lie has inspired many to become radicalized and militant. And Elon Musk said, true. This was yesterday, the day before Thanksgiving. You figure that Elon would be over there and would be trying to keep his company afloat. He just got forced to spend $44 billion. You'd figured he'd be over there trying to make sure that he stops the hemorrhaging and the bleeding, and he would be focused on making that site the best it can be. But he's like, we take a brief timeout from focusing on my $44 billion misadvised adventure to sit up here and attack black folk. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. So he's letting you know the day before Thanksgiving, he's not thinking about turkeys, dressing. He's not thinking about his companies. Black folk are on his mind. So for anybody who was doubting us when we said, hey, he's from South Africa, the Afrikaner spirit, we can smell it. We can sniff it on him. We can smell it and we can sniff it on him. And the day before Thanksgiving 2022, he's letting the real, now that he's got more eyeballs on him and what he has to say than he has ever had before, he's like, yeah, let me go ahead and say the real damn thing. Let me go ahead and say the real damn thing. So he has sent the full signal. Donald Trump's account has been unsuspended. He's sitting up here co-signing white supremacists and alt-right all over the place. He's letting them know this is a safe haven. And he wants you to be very clear about who the enemy is. Now I want you all to be very, very aware of something here. You have to think strategically. And anyone who is stupid enough, foolish enough, or ham-handed enough to sit up here and say, we're going to ignore this. That's the height of stupidity here. You can't ignore somebody who's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. You can't ignore someone who is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. See, this is where we resort into fantasy world. Fantasy talk doesn't work here. You can't resort to fantasy talk. I ain't calling you white supremacists. Ain't nobody supreme over me. They can sit up here and violate your rights at will. Denial is not a strategy. Denial is not a strategy. And to sit up here and tell yourself that it is the height of silliness. Denial is not a strategy. We need to recognize that the most powerful people in this world, the most powerful people on this planet, are at work against us. You're talking about trillions of dollars that they're like, yeah, now that we got our business feet under us here, what are we going to do to go ahead and take care of this Negro problem? That's what we're worried about now. What do we do to take care of this Negro issue? That's the way that always goes. You start seeing it go in circles because this is a long-standing American tradition. It is a long-standing American tradition. It's a long-standing American tradition no matter which side of the ocean you might find yourself on. No matter which side you might find yourself on, you can find yourself here. Now, folks, you got to understand, these corporations have billions of dollars behind them. They've got the ability to investigate anyone and everyone, everywhere they want to. And yet, it takes decades and decades. They wait until these folks are good and ready, wait until they're completely solidified, and then drip, 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 things start coming out. Drip, 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 it starts coming out. Now, this is something that you all may have heard about here. If you've been following me, you will have heard about this. If you've been following me, you would have heard about this. CNN and other outlets are reporting that, by the way, a photo has resurfaced because it's not like this photo just showed up yesterday. Folks are talking about this again. Jerry Jones must have run afoul of somebody because now they're like, yeah, let's go ahead and dump this on out there for you. Let's go ahead and dump this on out there for you. Big shout out here to Real Deal Money. We're keeping our boots on their necks. Thank you very much for your support. Tank Moham. Big shout out here to you as well here. And also a big shout out here to Tommy Felix, the B1 Militia. Certainly on deck. Shout out to all of y'all. Theme song hit for y'all. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Listen to them talking about this for those of you who were unaware.
At the Washington Post, Sally Jenkins. Sally broke this story along with her We're going to start with this photo. It's from September 9, 1957, and it shows Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones among a crowd of white students trying to keep black students from integrating at an Arkansas high school. This is a Washington Post reporting. Reports that Jones, who was 14 at the time, could be seen standing a few yards from where the 6 black students were being jostled and repelled with snarling racial slurs by ringleaders of the mob. So joining us now, sports and feature columnist at the Washington Post, Sally Jenkins.
All right. Sally Jenkins. I don't know if she's related to Omar Jenkins, but what I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and play that back. I'm going to go ahead and roll it back here a little bit so you can see the photograph here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We're going to zoom in so you can see. Yeah, I think you caught the devil red-handed.
We're going to start with this photo. It's from September 9, 1957, and it shows Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones among a crowd of white students trying to keep black students from integrating at an Arkansas high school. This is a Washington Post reporting. reports that Jones, who was 14 at the time, could be seen standing a few yards from where the 6 black students were being jostled and repelled with snarling racial slurs by ringleaders of the mob. So joining us now, sports and feature columnist at the Washington Post, Sally Jenkins. Sally broke this story along with her co-author, David Moranis. We're so happy that you could join us this morning. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And again, I have to commend you on your reporting. This whole thing is right. I mean, it's
stunning.
Really stunning. It's fascinating. So let's start with the picture, okay, and then we'll talk about, how we could have sort of moved diversity along with coaching in the NFL and in sports. Let's start with this photograph, though. What did you learn about this from this photograph?
Well, I think the first thing you learn is just how widespread the segregationists were in Little Rock and North Little Rock. Jerry Jones's high school was North Little Rock, which was across the Arkansas River from Central High School, which is the school that got all of the attention when Eisenhower sent in federal troops to protect the Little Rock Nine at that school over there. But the segregationist agitators were actually very active on both sites. And the fact that we knew that generationally, Jerry Jones had to have experienced the events in Little Rock more generally, but to find him in the photograph and to learn that he experienced one of those incidents right on the schoolhouse steps was pretty revelatory. We were blown away, to put it mildly.
Now, to be clear, every single photograph from that era has been pored over and analyzed. And Jerry Jones is far from the only one. So when black folk tell you that the Klan took off their robes and put on business suits and judges' robes and police officers' uniforms, this is what the hell we've been talking about. This is what we've been talking about.
Let me ask you about this picture just quickly here, because he's saying, I was just there. I wasn't participating. I was there just sort of to observe. But with the photograph, what you point out in your reporting is that in order to get where he was at the top of those stairs, that he had to get up there pretty quickly, and those were sort of the students that were keeping the black students from entering. Does this say anything about his participation? Are you making any sort of judgment about it, or?
No, two things. First of all,
now, did you hear that right there? He said, are you making any sort of judgment about it? Well, no. So, just wanted to go ahead and point it out real quick. When you ask, are you making any judgment about it? No. Yeah, they're real quick to understand. Then her internet feed starts messing up on her internet connection starts messing up.
Two things. First of all,
oh, she started stumbling and stuttering when he said that, didn't she? Yeah, she started stumbling and stuttering. Well, no. Yeah, she don't want a billionaire ringing her up.
Are you making any sort of judgment about it, or?
Two things.
First of all, no. Okay, yeah, buddy. Don called her flat-footed. She had to think this over. How deep I want to go into this?
Are you making any sort of judgment about it, or?
Two things. First of all, he's a little at the time, so he's actually younger than the ringleaders that you can see in the photographs. That's one thing that we noticed. We did look at a sequence of photos leading up to those schoolhouse steps, and the white teenagers on the steps did have to move around the black students to get to the top of the steps. Nevertheless, he is further back. He is younger than the lead participants. And so I think that, you simply have to take him at his word unless something else appears, that he was there more out of curiosity and fascination, as opposed to being really at the very epicenter of the active events.
Well, yeah, that didn't take very long now, did it? Yeah, just in case you all thought it was groundbreaking here. By the way, that didn't take very long now, did it? Well, actually, we've seen a series of photos now. Did you all remember what I said? Hey, these are some of the most analyzed events in history, some of the most documented events in history here. So that's what I'm saying. There's a bunch of other photographs. And she's like, well, when you take a look at the succession of photographs, oh, really? Just like Jason said. And then ultimately, she shows that he's there in the photo and then says, ultimately, nothing to see here. So just in case anybody tries to bring it up, she says, nothing to see here. Okay, in a day and age where we're calling 9-year-old black girls women, 6-year-old black boys are men, and 9-year-old black girls are women, 14-year-old Jerry Jones is just a little innocent kid.
And so I think that, you simply have to take him at his word unless something else appears, that he was there more out of curiosity and fascination, as opposed to being really at the very epicenter of the active events. He does remember, one thing he told us that did not make it in the story is that he does remember that it got physical. The tough guys that you see in the center of the photograph end up really pushing the kids down off the steps.
Well, very glad to have his recollection of the events there. Very glad to have that. Shout out here in the chat room, here in the super chat, to Trini to the Bone. Thank you very much for your support. Go ahead and give him a theme song hi-hat hit for that. Brothers and sisters, they're lurking everywhere. These folks have been lurking in the cut for decades, and that includes Elon Musk. Jerry Jones is old money. Elon Musk is new money. All of them are big money. And they're all letting you know we are on code. Shout out to Pookie Jenkins also, by the way. My man Pookie Jenkins, he's over there tearing up Hong Kong. But brothers and sisters, this is what happens when you have generational wealth. If you want to know what the real power and the real ability of generational wealth is, this is what it is right here. This is what it means. That you've been fighting this every day, from your grandfathers to your fathers to you. This is why when I sit up here and tell you we cannot afford to walk off the field, we can't afford to sit up here and say, well, they gave us cell phones and tennis shoes, we okay. Well, right here on your damn screen, this is the result of, well, we got cell phones and tennis shoes, we aight. And the global communication apparatus is sitting up here telling you hands up, don't shoot is a fraud. A global communication apparatus is telling you, understand, a global communication apparatus that is far more relevant than CNN, MSNBC, ABC. You have never heard a congressional hearing about CNN, MSNBC, and ABC. You've never heard a congressional hearing about Fox. They've had congressional hearings about Twitter and Twitter's influence. You've got congressional hearings about that. Yeah, because one is far more influential than the other. One is far more influential, and when these folks decide to gang up on you, that's serious business. Now, I want to deal with Jerry Jones right quick here. Let me go ahead and deal with Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, if anybody wants to know where Jason Black falls on this, let me go ahead and explain to you exactly where I fall on this. Am I going to be protesting outside of any stadiums? No. Am I going to be protesting anywhere else? No. Am I going to be saying anything about Jerry Jones selling the team? No. I'm going to sit up here and say it just like it is. Jerry Jones, it's time for you to cut the check. Immigrant B1, you're absolutely right. What is Jason Black's statement? Oh, no, he can keep the team. It's time to break bread. It's time to break bread. Oh, no, we ain't even going to be halfway nice about this. Because you see, when you came for Kyrie Irving, they told Kyrie Irving, you got to cut the check. Oh, no, we don't need to. I mean, you gonna have to apologize, but right after you do that, or right before, whichever you choose, you got to break that bread. Right before or right after. We ain't sure which one it is, but the check got to be cut somewhere along the line. Somewhere along the line. Brothers and sisters, old Jerry Jones can drop a couple mils over here at the New Black Media. Jerry Jones can drop a couple mils among some foundationals. He can do that. That's what he can do. Jerry Jones, we need to discuss your reparations. Because understand, brothers and sisters, I don't, I mean, does he have to apologize? That'd be cool, I guess. Here's the problem is I've always told you all, I can't measure the sincerity of your quote unquote apology. I can't measure that. I don't know how sincere it is. I don't know how sincere it isn't. I don't know how much of it you mean. I don't know how much of it you don't mean. And I certainly can't measure its tangible impact. But if you break them dollars, I can measure that. Oh, I can tell you exactly what can get done with that. I can tell you exactly what can get done with that. Absolutely. Absolutely. In the chat room, Joseph White, we'll have you call up so you can explain when I open up the telephone lines. But brothers and sisters, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't measure whether your apology is sincere or not, but I can certainly measure if your check clears the bank. I can measure that. I can tell you whether your check cleared the bank. I can 100% certify that one. And from there, whether your quote unquote apology is sincere or not is irrelevant. I'll take your check and we'll call that sincerity. I'll take your check and then we'll call that sincerity. That'll work for me. That'll work for me. No, folks, I'm not sitting up here trying to get folk to make nice. I'm not sitting up here trying to help them to find religion. I'm not trying to do anything like that. That is not what I'm trying to do here at all. No, I'm telling you right now, I don't know who is sincere in what they're saying or who is sincere or not sincere in what they're saying. But I'm just letting you know that I'm not trying to figure out who's real and who isn't. You gonna have to pay. You are going to have to pay, period. That's just the end, the open and shut of it. You know why? Because when black folks do something, the first thing they say is, oh, it's a shakedown. Bill Cosby got shook down not once, but twice with CNN cheerleading it all the way. So I'm just telling y'all right now, take your egos out of it. We got too many people out here trying to be moralists. Man, take your stupid ego out of it. That's not strategic. That's not no chess move. Well, Jason, they need to be sincere. We need real change. Look here, changing his money from his bank account to ours. That's the only change I need. That's the only one that counts. He'll sit up here and give 1,000 damn apologies. If ain't no money moved, understand something. White supremacy gave him his socioeconomic position, and that has endured. The only reasonable recompense and reparations would be to move it back. He's had a long time to gain stored wealth off the backs of black men. He's had a long time for that. Let me tell y'all something right now. A 14-year-old in Arkansas does not end up on those steps by accident. A 14-year-old doesn't end up on those steps by accident. He can see everything that's happening from 20 feet away. He doesn't need to be that close to it. The 14-year-old doesn't end up there by accident. Let me tell y'all, you go through his damn yearbook and start investigating people, start talking to him, you're going to find more damn shoes dropping out that closet. People, that's the way it always happens. See, when the police investigate somebody, that's how they do in the first 48. When they start investigating somebody, they go grab your friends down the rock block. Let me get Rollo. Let me go get Jamal. Let me go get Pookie Ray and Hootie Bill. They take him in the interrogation room. It's like, look here, we got something on you. So if you don't drop the dime on him, all of the folks is going to be on you. You sit up here and get some of them folks who have died in the wool, because what I'm looking at are the folks in the forefront. You take a look at the ones in the forefront of the photo. Go find some of them and go ask them, did you know Jerry when you all were in high school? Did you know him? Did you know Jerry when you all were in high school? Let me tell y'all, it's going to come out. I'm telling you how to ask the damn questions. If they go ahead and do it the way I said, the truth is going to come out about it. They're going to let you know, oh, yeah, well, I was in class with him and every damn thing else. I knew his sisters. I knew his aunties. Oh, this wasn't nothing new. This wasn't nothing new. Everybody knew Jerry. Everybody knew to get down. Everybody knew what it was. So if you start talking to people and start shaking that tree, that's what you're going to hear. And you know what? You start shaking a whole lot of others. You start shaking a whole lot of others, and you're going to get more than just Jerry Jones. Because if I go back through the NFL and I say names like Art Modell and what's his name, Kraft, who owned the New England Patriots. I don't even remember if I don't know if he's even alive anymore or not. But when you start tracing this old money and start walking it backwards, you're going to find all kinds of things. And you got to understand, it probably, with Jeff Bezos' money, it probably took a damn afternoon. This woman who sat up here and did this piece on Jerry Jones and whatnot, man, she probably did that on her spare time on a weekend. She probably did that on a spare time on a weekend. She was probably bored during the damn pandemic and just said, oh, you know, there was that photograph floating around out there. According to her, she already talked to Jerry Jones. She probably did that on a spare time during the damn weekend. Hell, during an afternoon. Forget a weekend. Just during an afternoon. This is one among many. If we shake Bill Gates' yearbook, I wonder what's going to fall out. If we shake Bill Gates' yearbook, what's going to fall out? If we actually shake Mark Zuckerberg's, what's going to fall out? We already see what's falling out with your man Elon Musk. You can already see what's coming out there. If the media actually were doing what we try to do here, you see a whole bunch of different stuff. I don't need no apologies. I don't need any apologies. I'm just telling you right now, Jason, what is the response? The response is they got to cut the check. I don't want to hear anything. That is it. There need to be checks flying left, right, and center. That's what they do with black folk. Whenever something happens to somebody else, you talk about Asians, you talk about Jews, you talk about illegal aliens, they don't even ask about no damn apology. The first thing they do is show with their lawyers and, hey, where's the check? We need to talk about what you gonna pay. We need to talk about what you gonna do. That's what we need to talk about is what you gonna do. Yeah. You gonna be real sorry while you writing this check. You're gonna be real sorry then. We don't want to hear any apologies. Or at least your apology is not gonna be accepted until the funds clear the bank. So if you want to know where my position on this is, if you want to know where exactly I stand in this situation, as far as Jerry Jones, I don't know what he was or wasn't doing there, although I know on that particular day, that's a pretty damn strange place for you to be hanging out at 14 years old. Folks are sitting up here fighting people and you in the middle of it? Dude, come on now. Birds of a feather flock together. Now he's the owner of a football team. I think he played football too. So this wasn't no shrinking violet. What I'm saying to you right now is this is 9/10 of the law. He is in possession of proximity. This is 9/10 of the law. This is 9/10 of the law. Go talk to the other students at that school. Why the hell aren't all of them out there that day? You notice another thing. They're all boys out there. Do you see that? Go ahead and swing out a little bit here, and you'll see they're all boys out there. There's no girls out there. Those are all boys. So what does that tell you? This wasn't some general meeting. This wasn't some place where you just end up at by accident. You didn't just end up there by accident. Those are the boys. They sent their warrior class out there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They didn't send the girls. Well, that was the Little Rock Nine. But you'll notice with the Little Rock Nine, they sent the girls after the girls. You remember the famous photo? The white girl yelling at the black one? They sent the girls after the girls. I'm trying to remind you about how history is done here, folks. This is historical. This is a strategy of optics. So when I see a group of boys out there, oh, you didn't end up on those steps by accident any more than those white girls ended up there by accident at Central. They didn't end up there by accident at all. You don't get there by accident. You don't end up on those steps by accident. And what has happened is you have experienced a shadow government and a shadow society that has been telling us that nothing's been going on. And I'm going to say this right now on No Thanksgiving for 2022. I've sat behind this microphone now for the better part of 15 years. We're going on 15. And I have warned you all, and I want to bring this in its proper perspective. You got to watch these old niggas. Jason, how you gonna be talking about Jerry Jones and you gonna bring the subject back to these old black folks here? Because it never should have taken a damn reporter from the Washington damn Post to be saying this. If you went to school with Jerry Jones, you knew he was out there. If you went to school with Jerry Jones, you knew his ass was out there. You knew he was there. How the hell we gotta wait 50 years later? You knew he was out there 60 years later. You knew he was out there. You knew he was. You knew he was out there all this time and you ain't been raising no ruckus? You knew he was out there all this time. Could have put the finger on the whole damn time. They ain't said a word. I want the young black folks to understand these old Negroes, there were some riders, but as a group, you got to call it for what it is. As a group, most of them were just like, man, but look, if they let me into school, let me sit down with the book. I'm just keep my head low. Just gonna keep my head low. And then that's how they come back telling you, well, you know, they were fighting me when I was trying to get into school. They were standing on the step fighting me. You got tennis shoes and cell phones. No wonder they can talk to you every candy-coated flavor is stupid like that. Well, you got tennis shoes and cell phones. So telling you and me, you straight. Because you have tennis shoes and cell phones. And meanwhile, the NCAA will not allow black athletes to get paid, but they're making sure that white coaches, white staff, and white professional team owners are caked the hell up. Do you realize at this point now they've given these folks an 80-year head start on you? Think about that for a few moments. Even if they start spreading the money now, take a look at the gigantic head start they've given. Take a look at the gigantic head start that Jerry Jones has been given over literally every single one of his black peers and contemporaries from that time period. And their children. And now at his age, the grandchildren and possibly the great-grandchildren are all having to come to him and bow and scrape. See, that's the effect of generational wealth, is having the ability to reform a society across the course of years. That's what that means, to be able to reform a society across the course of years, to transform it, mold it, and shape it. And you're not even recognizing what's going on. Your kids have no damn idea because the damn grandparents ain't said nothing. The grandparents haven't said anything. Sitting right there in damn high school with Jerry Jones and his group of thugs wilding the hell out. And ain't said nothing. So you end up in the Silicon Valley era and the internet era, and your kids are sitting up here, well, if they couldn't play ball or anything like that, now you gotta go throw elbows against Elon Musk's now generational wealth. That didn't take no damn time, now did it? And then you start seeing these incestuous relationships, the NFL and the NCAA all wanting to get mobbed up with these internet companies for streaming rights. Billions and billions of dollars, not millions, billions. And you can see what the real agenda is running behind the scenes now. You can see why they're always in this state of frenzy to gather as much wealth as they can. Yes, because that's the only way you can maintain the white supremacist status quo. That's the only way it can happen. We're going to open up the telephone lines here in just a moment so you all can give us a call. We ain't playing around. It's the No Thanksgiving broadcast here. I want to send a big shout out here to my man Grind Time. We appreciate your support here, brother. Thank you very much. Lip service is no service. Big shout out here also to Project Leroy. As always, the New Black Media runs the yard, brother. You're damn right about that. And we being on code about it because we sound different. We sound different. And a lot of folks here are not going to like that. A lot of folks not going to like that. Shout out Jafar Kazim. Jason, they buying you off. We're not buying a damn thing. We're not buying a damn thing. If you want to punish these folks, you hit them where they live. You go after their pockets. When they come for us, the first thing they do is say, grab a nigga and turn him upside down and shake him. Let me tell you right now, don't bring me no apologies. If you bringing me these photographs of Jerry Jones, tell him, you know what, Jerry, it's time for you to pay your reparations. Cut the check. The city of Dallas, Texas, time to pay them reparations. Cut the check. They were not going after gays. They were not going after illegals. They were not going after anybody. They were going after black folk. They were going after black folk. And that's where the focus needs to be. That's where the focus of settling this and balancing it needs to be. It needs to be on us. So yeah, don't bring me no apologies. Cut the check. We don't need to sit down and have a soul searching. Cut the check. I don't have 6 requirements for you. I have 1. Cut the check. And it's going to be a heavy one. Cut the check. I don't need to hear any apology tour. Don't sit up here boo-hooing. Don't give me any Instagram posts. I don't give a damn if you back down or double down. What I do know is you need to cut the check. And it needs to be to foundational black people. It doesn't need to be no minorities. Doesn't need to go to the NAACP. Or any garbage like that. It needs to go to those of us who have actually been doing the work and holding it down, because the biggest thing in the world they want to keep happening is the message. Could you imagine what would happen if we had, number 1, those kind of resources, and number 2, that kind of access? There's a whole bunch of these things out here. The Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos. You saw what the hell his money could buy on a random Tuesday. Hey, we found photos of Jerry Jones keeping schools segregated in Arkansas. Really? Man, how much did that cost you? $1,000 maybe? No, at this point right here, cut the check. At this point, cut the check. Don't want to hear nothing else. No, ain't no shame in the game about it. Cut the damn check. Because when you all roll up on us with your specious, phony-ass reverse racism garbage, that's the first thing they're saying is we got to, and we don't have any money to give. And we don't even have anything to give and haven't even committed an offense when you got to cut a check anyway. Really? No. Jerry, keep your apologies. Keep your apology. There's no apology tour. I don't even need an explanation. What we do need to see is them dollars clear the bank. Now that we do need to see. That's the part we do need to see. And while we're at it, we can go ahead and get Elon too, as a matter of fact here. We can go ahead and get him also. See, there's something I want you all to understand. When it comes to when we build something or when we do something, other folks recognize the value of that. They recognize the value of walking into your house and exercising their influence, which is why they get so scared and so worried when they see us discussing doing the same thing. That's not the kind of talk you want to hear. What they want to hear is they can commit the crime and get away with it. White folk don't let us do that. White folk don't let us do that. With Bill Cosby, folks, they were like, look here, we're going to nail him one of 2 ways. We're either going to get him legally, financially, or both. Legally, financially, or both. That's how we gonna do it. It's gonna be legal, it's gonna be financial, or both. So they're letting you know what matters. They're letting you know what matters. They're letting you know when they come at us, it's like, oh, dude, we ain't worried about nothing else. Michael Jackson, we're going after the money. R. Kelly, we're going after the money. Bill Cosby, we're going after the money. Kyrie Irving, we're going after the money. Kanye West, they're like, oh, you don't even have an NBA team or anything to go after, but we're going to hit the money. Hell, Chase Bank gave him a call up. Yes, Mr. West. Yeah, your money is no longer any good here. You need to come pick your safety deposit box up this week. Click. I wonder, is Chase Bank or Wells Fargo or whoever is holding Jerry Jones' money, I wonder if they're going to give him that phone call. I don't know which bank is holding it. I do know they need to get in touch with us. No matter which one might be holding it. Not sure who, but they need to give us a call. Speaking of giving a call, by the way, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence. True believers who are here doing exactly what we do, exactly when we said we would be doing it. Want to send a big shout out here to the new B1 Media is a lifesaver. Najee, C. Isaiah, Brenda Starr, Leslie, and everybody else who has contributed to support this program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat. We are the real damn deal. We've been doing this now, summers and winters, for years and years on end. And tonight, I'm giving you a reminder. They're coming out the closets with it. This is a week where all of them here who've been hiding behind the scenes, they're getting bolder about it. The media is getting bolder to cover it up. Well, Jerry Jones might have been out there, but nothing to see. So you went through all this to tell us, by the way, if any of you stumble across this photograph, nothing to see here. Just in case any of you do stumble across that photograph, by the way, nothing to see here. He was just standing around. Now, can you find anybody who just stands around with Minister Farrakhan and gets a pass? Anybody? Is there anybody who just stands around with the minister and just gets a pass? Show me. First thing they do is, when there's Minister Farrakhan, hey, you were standing over there in the back. You were standing over here. All of a sudden, they go looking through everything. If you were standing outside the building, if you were waiting at the turnstile on the subway, well, we saw you out there. You got some explaining to do. You have to explain why you were there. What were you doing? What did you want to do? So at this point right here, I'm like, oh, no. I see how the game is played. We're going to play by just them rules right there. So Jerry Jones, oh no, we're on your bumper up until. No tangibles, no vote, no hope. None for you, Jerry. I don't want to see you kneel with nobody. If you ain't kneeling to pick up a pen or cut the check, I don't want to hear it. Shout out to my man Grind Time there in the super chat, putting in overtime here tonight. And thank you to everyone here. You could have been stuffing your faces with cornbread. You could have been doing all kinds of wilding out and crazy things there. B1 Media's lifesaver. Anybody else here, we appreciate that for you all showing up here, because this is what we do. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let me get caller from area code 630. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Nick from Chicago by way of Houston.
Nick from Chicago, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up this topic for the No Thanksgiving program that you have today. I just tagged you, Tariq Nasheed, and Professor Black Truth. I did a post, tagged the Dallas Cowboys on my YouTube channel, and I just did it on Twitter about them paying up. We really got to be doing this at each and every time one of these major people are saying anything against us. I've been talking about Elon Musk the same way you have. He's had several lawsuits. He's got a second one where 15 black people have now come out and did a lawsuit against Tesla this year. He lost the first one. They got it pushed down. I don't know how they did it, from 137 million down to 15 million payout on his first one that he lost. So I don't know. They're probably going to do some janky things, but these people really need to pay up. Like you said, legal, financial, or both. And we're going to keep pushing this. Last thing here, there's too many of us that make excuses for these people. I just discussed with my close friend, or I don't know, it's kind of making me look at them funny, where at any time a black person, something is done against them, it's like, well, maybe there was something that was justified in that. And if it's one of them, it's like, well, you know, you just gotta do something. And I'm like, what? And so it's just, I gotta distance myself from those types of people. But yeah, we gotta hit them where the money is, because they try to shake us out for the little that that we can scrounge up.
They understand at the end of the day, economics is warfare. Going after somebody's name doesn't mean anything if the person doesn't want to trade on that name. So the real thing is, if we cannot convict you in a court of law, we can convict you at the cash register. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, Nick, let me put you back on hold here. Wrong one. I've hit 224. It needs to be area code 225. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, man, this is Joseph. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Joseph from Baton Rouge. And what's on your mind?
Not much, man. I was just calling in. Y'all say I need to call up because I say my family got generational wealth. I don't know why people just don't believe black people have ever had this. I don't know. Just maybe they just don't tell us about.
Okay, what is the generational wealth that your family has in Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
Land and money.
Okay, sir, land in Louisiana. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, so saying land in Louisiana is not saying very much. It's not like Louisiana's Florida, so that says nothing. As far as money, you all have money from doing what exactly? That's been passed down generationally.
Well, my great grandparents, they were always farmers. We had farmland. Most of the land was leased on by Exxon. So we getting paid off of that. My grandfather, he was an intellectual. So he was the executive at Southern University, like for 55 years. He was the vice president for finance and business. My dad, he was the chancellor for the law center, and he worked as a professor at Southern for about 30 years. And me, I'm a truck driver. I got like 3 or 4 trucks of my own.
Wow, y'all, did y'all hear that? His family has so much generational wealth, he is not a trust fund baby. He's a truck driver.
Yeah, my dad.
I'm not being disparaging. I'm just telling everyone that, by the way, when the rubber meets the road and you're waiting for the proof of it, by the way, the family is so wealthy and doing so well that, could you imagine one of the Kennedys saying something like that? Yeah, I'm one of the Kennedys. What do you do for a living? I drive a truck. Okay. I'm one of the Vanderbilts.
Yeah.
I'm one of the Vanderbilts.
Right,
oh, good. Well, how are you living off the trust money? Oh, I drive a truck. Could you all imagine that? And then take that person seriously?
Well, of course, I have to wait for anything to get passed down to me. My dad was always like, bro, my money is my money. You're going to get it out the mud just like I had to, just like your grandpa had to. That way we can keep it going. I'm not going to pass down nothing to you that I can't see. You can't even take care of your own stuff.
Okay.
So why would I pass down anything to you?
Sir, if this person were of any significance in the state of Louisiana, I'd know who they were. So who is this individual who apparently...
You've never heard of the name Tola White?
No, sir. Never heard that name.
Huh? You can look him up. He verified.
You can look him up. Why don't
he's passed away now.
Oh,
he's passed away now.
He's dead. Oh, you can look him up, but he's dead. So in other words, yeah, if you got a Ouija board, you can prove what I'm saying is true or not.
No, I'm saying you can Google his name and you can see what he did for a living.
Okay. What about your dad?
My dad, he's retired now, but he.
Oh,
he
good.
was
So
the
he's retired.
former-
He's retired and sitting on all that money and whatnot. Because you see, the richest person in Louisiana up until he died was Tom Benson, the owner of the New Orleans Saints. So it doesn't take a very high bar to clear to be quote unquote wealthy in Louisiana. We're pretty much the only state where the NFL team owner, who was a used car salesman, by the way, that's all it takes to be the richest person in the state of Louisiana. So if your people was pushing any generational wealth, we'd know who they were. And they would be significant.
Maybe.
They would be significant. Their names would be up there with the Morials.
Nah,
They
man,
would be
when I say wealth,
significant.
I don't mean we not no billionaires
Okay,
or nothing like that.
you're not millionaires either. Because one of the biggest problems we have in Louisiana is getting the oil companies to pay any of the residuals for anything that they're drilling on. So mineral rights, that's been one of the big issues that we have in Louisiana. Even in northwestern Louisiana. And I've got properties
Well, we're
there.
not
I've got
getting that.
properties there on the shale and haven't gotten anything. So one of the biggest issues we've
We're
had
not
is getting
getting-
them to pay anything. So when you tell me we got farmland, and furthermore having farmland that's got oil under it and whatnot, yikes, that doesn't even sound quite right.
That's not coming from the land we have in Louisiana. That's coming from the land we have in Mississippi.
Okay, sir, that doesn't make. Do you think that makes it one bit different?
I mean, it makes it enough to where, man, my dad was like, man, it's too much for us to do on our own to take care of our own family.
Okay, how much money
we
for
ain't worrying
you?
about them white folks like
Okay,
that, man.
how much money for you qualifies as generational wealth?
Man, I'd probably say at least 8 figures.
8 figures.
That's
is,
enough for the family.
8 figures is $10 million.
That's
So
enough
you
for
say.
our family.
So you think that $10 million or more is generational wealth?
Yeah, for me and my brother. I mean,
Okay.
it ain't nothing
Sir,
but me and my brother.
Sir, there are houses that cost $10 million. Hell, there are houses.
I understand that,
there are
but-
houses in Louisiana that cost $7-8 million. Pretty sure there's
But to
probably
say
a couple of them
black
that cost
people
10.
ain't getting no money out here that we need white folks to give us anything.
Okay, sir, first of all, there's no proof that you have anything. That's the first thing. So before you try to set yourself up as an authority, there's no proof you actually have anything. Second of all, your definition of wealth is not even wealth. Your definition of wealth is upper middle class. You could literally blow that money on 2 properties. In Louisiana, by the way, you literally could lose all of that within 2 properties. You could purchase 2 very nice homes in Louisiana, and there goes your $10 million. And you're not talking about being spread among how many people, because once you start spreading it among more than 6 or 7 people, you don't have $10 million. And furthermore, it's not liquid. So it's not like you're sitting up here talking about we sitting on them things. Your first excuse was, well, my granddaddy did XYZ for land that Exxon does not pay money on. But okay, this is your fairy tale. So, all right. But then, well, my dad, he's retired. Okay, so nobody's got any money there. So what I'm saying is that when Negroes want to sit up here and fantasize, this is the way it goes. Why do you have a problem with black people getting reparations?
Because it's not it's a fairy tale. When they ain't gonna never give us that. Come on now. They ain't gonna never give us that.
Do you realize
So let's just
where
move
were
the
you
ball
where were you
forward on
where
what
were
we
you
can do.
born at? Where were you born at?
I was born in Baton Rouge.
Okay, do you realize how many things they told us we were not going to get in the state of Louisiana?
Yeah.
Do you realize how many thistle-eating, fried grits-eating Negroes like you were sitting up here telling us for the last 150 years what we weren't going to be able to get, what we weren't going to be able to do? You're never going to have a black mayor. Yeah, you do know about all that. They told us we're never going to have a black mayor in New Orleans. You're never going to have a black mayor of Baton Rouge. You're never going to have any toehold on the economy. You're never going to have a majority black city of any relevance. That's the kind of thing they've been saying the whole damn time, telling us what wasn't going to happen.
Well, as long as we keep voting for some black Democrats, they always gonna have somebody black running the city, but that don't mean that the city is
sir,
the city in the trash.
Sir, you don't understand how economies work. So until you get the generational wealth that has been stolen reallocated
I
back
have
where it belongs, that's not going to work. And you don't have any generational wealth. You got a crack pipe dream.
I understand how economies work. I mean, I got a degree in economics.
Sir, I
So
don't think
I
you
know
have
how
a degree in
economies
snow
work.
cones, but okay. I really don't. An economics degree does not make you knowledgeable about how money works. Contrary to popular belief, an economics degree
enough.
does not
I
actually
know
make you
enough.
knowledgeable about how money works.
I know enough about how money works to where I'm gonna be okay. My kids gonna be okay. My family gonna be okay. My grandchildren gonna
He
be
say
okay.
they're gonna be okay.
That's all I'm
He
worrying
says they're
about.
gonna be okay. And this kind of
Yeah,
fantasy,
they
sir.
gonna be
First
okay.
of all, if economics made people rich, then all of our economists would be the richest people on earth. They are exactly the opposite.
No, most of them liberals. That's just pushing
Okay,
an
sir. They're
agenda.
they're not all liberals, sir. Not by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I said most.
Okay, but they're not
I-
all by any stretch of imagination. Problem: all of them are not wealthy. So if they understood economics,
No, actually, ain't none of them wealthy.
if economics allowed you to understand how money works, then it doesn't matter whether they're liberal or not. You got plenty of rich liberal people. They would all be wealthy, but they're not. Nobody ever sits up here and says
But they all
you
wanna
can't
be-
look at the
they all
top
wanna
1,000
be
rich,
professors.
sir. You can't take a look at the top 1,000 richest people in the world and find an economist in there anywhere. Not
Right,
even
that's because
one.
they too busy being professors instead of getting into business.
Well, sir, maybe you would like to take a couple of classes from them and see what that is. But I will tell you one thing. I don't know what you've been drinking. I don't know what you've been smoking. You have no generational wealth. But if you did, you would not be a truck driver sitting on the phone talking about what your dad gonna do for you someday, fantasizing. You'd be talking about what you would be talking about what you and your father are doing. You would be talking about what you and your father are doing now. Because if he doesn't already have you, you sound old as hell. And if he hasn't already groomed you for what you need to do, then it's not gonna work anyway.
He has.
Then why are you still driving a truck, dude? You just said he said you weren't ready. So
I like what I do.
So how much in generational wealth is your family sitting on?
Like I said, it's about 8 figures, and we have
About
land and property
about 8
everywhere.
figures. How much is the Toller legacy sitting on?
Like I just said, about 8 figures.
It's
like
sitting-
probably right at 10, 11. I don't really. I ain't in his books like
he's
that.
so knowledgeable about it. He has no idea how much generational wealth they have, but he is going to come here and tell us what we don't need to do.
Nah, I'm telling you what I'm gonna do, and I ain't worrying about them white folks giving me no money. I don't want none. I don't need none of their money. It's enough out here for all of us to.
You have enough to buy your Hennessy and your cigarettes. And I'm sure for you, that's perfectly satisfactory. For the rest of us, no, it isn't. Y'all, he's got generational wealth enough to buy a 24-pack so he can hop back in that truck. So let him get back to fantasizing. Let him get back to fantasizing. When Negroes don't actually have something, they start fantasizing. We got generational wealth here. Why y'all need to be hollering at them about reparations? Why you got to do that there? I'm from Louisiana. If your people were papered up like that, we'd know who the hell they are. There'd be exactly 2 niggas in the state like that. I'm Jason Black. I'm probably one of the best known black people in the state of Louisiana. I ain't sitting on that. If I were, the media and everybody else would already know. So just understand what he's really saying is, well, I don't see why y'all need no reparations. I don't see why y'all need that. Because you and your daddy ain't did nothing. You know why you need reparations, sir? Because you sitting in that truck. Instead of sitting on the phone fantasizing, you'd be in touch with the real world. That's the reason why. I ain't worried about them folks, and that's why you sitting where you at. I'm doing good. On Thanksgiving, making a fool of yourself. Caller from area code 703, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
CB calling out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
CB out of Raleigh, what's on your mind?
I guess I'll let the other callers deal with the previous caller. But what you covered today, the photo, it reminds me of a lynching that they used to pass around on the postcards. And another thing is, pretty much, that's all I want to say. I lost my train of thought listening to the last call. I apologize.
He killed enough brain cells for all of us, so thank you very much here. When niggas sit around fantasy talking, I own land in Louisiana. First he said Louisiana. We don't really own land in Louisiana. As soon as I told him I'm from Shreveport, where are your people? What your people got? I'm from Shreveport. So he's new around these parts. I'm from Baton Rouge. Oh, good. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. What your people own in Louisiana? And by the way, I know who are the richest people in Louisiana. We all should know the Benson family. At least there's the Benson family now since Tom died. Negroes think they're going to fabricate a history. I know we're plenty over here right there. We balling down here in southern Louisiana. Oh, good. What y'all own in southern Louisiana? I'm from Shreveport. Oh, we in Mississippi. Biloxi, that's where it's at. Really? Call Miracle 662. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, this is Aaron calling from Tupelo, Mississippi.
Oh, you probably sitting down there near dude's money down there. So it's all that generational wealth down there. So I hope y'all spread it around. What's on your mind?
Yeah, first of all, I want to talk about that picture. If you look at the picture, he right behind the cameraman. And anybody that watched the old 50s and 60s movies, when there's a crowd that had that cameraman will push everybody out the way and stuff like that, how you know that he wasn't in the front and got pushed out the way by the cameraman? And the other thing that I was saying about giving the money to, because we know that, the Jewish people, they got their stuff set up, and the Hispanic people got their stuff set up. So if he donated money, how we going to keep it from ending up out of, Roland Martin hands or some other, Democratic shield or something like that, something that's not going to benefit us? All right.
Well, you asked very good questions there, and that's why you have to sit up here and have a clear agenda for it. For the longest time, we've been letting these other people say these kind of things, because let's be very, very clear. Old Bowling Ball is unapologetic, y'all. Bowling Ball is unapologetic. That Negro will be the first one to jump up and tell you, Amazon, y'all need to drop some dollars here. On Roland Martin Unhinged. Roland is quick to sit up here and try to shake some folk down. That Negro ain't even got no standing. He's shaking down random strangers. He's shaking down random strangers and ain't got nothing to offer them. So let's be very, very clear about that. Let's be very clear about that. What do we need? It's not about what we need. It's about setting a precedent. It's not about what we need. But let's be very, very clear about that. Whenever something like this right here happens, that's what Roland tells them behind the scenes. Y'all got all those discrimination lawsuits. You need to drop some of that over here. Don't you know that's what he says to them? Jeff Bezos, if you drop some dollars over here, I'll be quiet about some of those discrimination lawsuits. Wouldn't you like that? I'm not going to make you the same promise. But what I will tell you is, no, we only accept apologies by cash, check, or money order. Or credit card. That's the only medium through which we accept apologies. You can write your apology on the back of this check, back of this money order. You can attach it as a note on this credit card payment, but that's the only way we accepting it. Call from area code 601. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Jason? This is Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi.
Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi. What's on your mind?
Hey, brother, good broadcast. I'm glad that it's been brought out about Mr. Jones and his transgressions back in the 50s in Arkansas. And this is why, I really do not respect old niggas, these old white supremacists. I don't open doors for them. I don't speak to them. I know you were the same people that were denying us some of our rights, and you're doing it to this day in a more covert way. You're not in the establishment form of white supremacy, more in the refinement stage of white supremacy. And the other caller from Baton Rouge is out of his rabbit mind. We need reparations because even if his family doing well, that's called a debt that's owed and it needs to be paid to all of us, all of the foundational Black Americans. And start paying money. Mr. Jones should drop off at least $1,500,000 to the new Black media, yourself, Professor Black, Tariq, Leo Scott, Liz Cabrera, Vicky Dillard, people that such, and he could give some money to he know Dion. We like him in Jackson. He could pay Dion's salary and his staff salary to keep him here in Jackson. And how about helping out with our water system? Something like that. He could do something like that. How about helping out the kids in South Oak Cliff, giving us some tangibles, not just some hope or some football camps, but some tangible, maybe pay for their school, ones who got out of Dallas Carter or Skyline or something like that. But those things he could do that are actionable things he could do that I think would benefit Black folks.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. In the chat room, y'all got to understand, there are a number of Black folk who, in their minds, as long as they are doing better than the folk around them, why, they got a privileged position. So the idea that something could come along out of nowhere and arbitrarily upset that, see, that bothers them. That bothers them. So just understand where that's really coming from. A bunch of y'all got that at your churches, them church deacons and deaconesses. There's a bunch of y'all got that at your churches just like that. Just like that. What you mean y'all got to get it right there? Man, haterism is a real thing. If they sat right here and they bowed and scraped and kissed ass, because that fella right there, boy, I'm telling you, he sound like the kind of nigga need to have bliss sticks with him every day from all the smooching on hairy butt cheeks that he does. So he's like, well, wait a minute now. I had to sit up here and good golly, Miss Molly and Miss Ann and Mr. Charlie, and how you gonna come along and get it dropped off? We doing goods the way we's is. Now, this Negro claims to be from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and anybody who's driven by on Interstate 10 through southern Louisiana, you can tell the difference between Texas and Louisiana just by looking out your window. You don't even need to see a coming into Louisiana sign. You don't even need to see the sign that says you've entered the state of Louisiana. When you feel them potholes and them speed bumps on the freeway and it's all tore up, it's like, oh, I'm in Louisiana, ain't I? You can go in blindfolded. The freeway is quiet. As soon as you cross over to Louisiana, I must be in Baton Rouge. Yeah, must be there. How'd you know? Lucky guess. So just understand, to them folks right there, they've been hanging out in the churches. They see it as their job that there's a caste system. They feel like there's a caste system among us. And that as long as he got a little CDL license, I'm doing better than the rest of these niggas in Baton Rouge. So he wants to hold on to that. I know. Jason, you taught them to get their CDLs. Yes, and I need enough of y'all to get this so you can cancel that nigga out. I need enough of you to get yours so you can cancel him out. Because as far as he's concerned, that's it. He got enough of some smoke and some drink, and that's it. What you mean? I got my reparations right here. I got 3 honey boo-boo looking broads. I got my reparations. What y'all need more than that for? Call America code 718. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, brother. How you doing? This is James calling again from Harlem, New York.
James from Harlem. What's on your mind?
Pennsylvania. Got a question. You see how this country, United States, is trying to crash the dollar? Do you think that soon as they cut us those checks, they will not crash that dollar? So those
The
No?
dollar. First of all, the dollar's
So the
not.
checks won't be worth
First of all, the
anything?
dollar's not crashing. That's the first thing. Dollars have ups, dollars go down. Y'all got to understand how wealth works. There's just times that rich folk made money, and then there's times they made big money. So your definition of downturn and theirs is a whole different thing. If you go over the course of the last 100 years, by the way, I've looked at several studies to say this. Warren Buffett to tell you about this. If you go over the course of the last 100 years, there is nothing that has outperformed the dollar. Not a thing. All the folks running around talking about their
Do you think
cryptocurrency and whatnot, and now they're
wrong?
sitting on a bunch of worthless digital numbers, and they're in complete denial. Nothing has outperformed the dollar. There's Malcolm X said this 60 years ago when he gave the famous speech about, when we wanted to get into their schools, white folk left their old rundown schools and built new ones in the suburbs. When we wanted the white man's house, they left their rundown houses in the city and moved to the suburbs. But when we said we want the white man's job, he said, now, can he abandon his job as easily as he abandoned his schools and his homes? Not without violence and bloodshed. You see, you've gotten to the root of the issue, which is why there's such this kabuki theater going on for decades now. We've recognized where the problem is. Oh, wait a minute, it's them dollars. Dr. King, we coming to Washington to get our check. We found what the root of the issue is, which is why everything becomes this crazy schizophrenic conversation to change the subject. Well, it needs to be about integration. It needs to be about love and understanding. It needs to be about, politics and getting a good education. No, it needs to be about them dollars. You see, Elon Musk has Asperger's.
Would land reparations?
Okay, slow down.
Would land reparations
Slow down.
better than dollars?
Okay, third time. Slow down.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Elon Musk has Asperger's. His college didn't give him what he's got. His daddy and connections and networking gave him what he got. With Tesla, same thing. Now with SpaceX, he didn't qualify for a damn thing. This is NASA giving him money. You want to talk about giving somebody dollars? So let me get this straight. Giving black folk money upsets these other folk, but dropping off billions to Elon Musk, already a billionaire, so that he can make hundreds of billions more and then go fly around Mars on a bumper car, apparently, that doesn't bother anybody. So just understand the only real difference is who you're giving it to and what their purposes are. But they didn't have to go to college and jump through all these damn hoops to get that. They just walked up and said, hey, you got an idea? Here's a check. Go see if that works.
What about land reparations?
Okay, this is the same silly stuff.
40 acres?
We always get into silliness like this. Give us the money, and then you can go buy whatever you want to buy. If you want to take your check and go buy land, go right ahead. If you want to take your check and go buy Bitcoin, go right ahead. If you want to take your check and go take pay for every college course known to man, go ahead. But the bottom line is, no, there is no substitute. Listen to this very carefully, everyone. There is no substitute for a dollar. Because everything you're talking about, land, agriculture, water, intellectual property rights, all of those are worthless if you cannot convert them into dollars. Bitcoin or anything else, they're all worthless if it can't be converted into dollars. So the dollar is the foundation of everything. It doesn't matter what you want to do, what you want to buy, where you want to go, what you want to acquire. If I tell you you can acquire that, but you cannot convert it into a dollar, I just made it worthless. I just made it worthless.
Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Don't let folks sit up here and esotericize these things and prison babble it and get y'all's eye off the ball. No, if I give you an asset that cannot be converted into a dollar, I just destroyed that asset. We just turned it into a paperweight because it has lost its ability to have a medium of exchange. You don't just get land so you can own a bunch of dirt. You get land so that you can develop it. But the development of it is worthless if you can't convert the value of the land into a medium of exchange. You have to be able to exchange its value with someone else. That doesn't necessarily mean that you exchange its ownership, but you must be able to exchange or extract the value from it. Without the dollars, you have not extracted any value. You just got a bunch of dirt. So if you cannot convert whatever asset you are referring to, land, education, intellectual property, spaceships, Bitcoin, refrigerators, water, you name it, if you cannot convert it into dollars, it is worthless. Don't let anyone sit up here and delude you, bamboozle you, talk your damn ear off for 3 hours, esotericizing it. Can I convert it into dollars? No. Then I can't transport its value anywhere. I'm just sitting on a bunch of dirt. I'm sitting on a bunch of metal that you call gold or silver. You must be able to convert its value into dollars. Otherwise, it's worthless. Caller from area code 510, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening. A big B1 salute to you, Mr. Jason Black. Thank you again for another edition of the No Thanksgiving broadcast. This is Black Voltron calling out of East Oakland, California.
Black Voltron, what's on your mind, brother?
Yeah, I just want to, number one, that clown from Louisiana, from Baton Rouge, who's driving the truck with all his generational wealth. Since when was $10 million, $11 million generational wealth? You know, he big balling like that. That's probably one house out here in the Bay. Be honest with you, one house, if you can get that. So, you know, this delusional nigga's talking about he don't want no reparations. Nigga, I'll take your check. You keep driving that truck, I'll take the reparations check and watch me turn that, you know, $1-2 million into $100-200 million. And you keep sitting there with your so-called generational wealth in Louisiana, and I'll buy probably your wealth and your family's wealth along with my reparations check. So, nigga, keep going. If you don't want it, the rest of these Sambos don't want it, hey, I'll take it with quickness. But going back to Jerry Jones, as far as him getting caught, I just noticed silence from all these so-called Sambo media people there that were, you know, just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, jumping up and down all over Kyrie and Kanye, even though Kanye's a coon. You know, them being so anti-Semitic. And they're so quiet about Jerry Jones. You know, Jamel Hills, Shannon Sharp, Jalen Rose, you know, all these Sambos in the sports media are quiet as hell about Jerry Jones. They won't say a goddamn thing about him.
Yeah, you know, you know me.
Why
I'm
so
not.
scared now? Why
here's my thing about it. You know me. I don't really follow sports like that. So I'm not going to pretend that I even know all the people to go look at and whatnot. But I guess I could say Stephen A. Smith. But those of you who actually do follow sports a little bit more than I do, you all can tell me whether any of them are going to say anything over the course of the next 72 hours. Forget today. Are they going to say anything over the course of the next 72 hours? Are we going to look up Monday on Sports Center? And is something going to be said? Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. And folks been tagging them. Let's be very, very clear. Folks have been tagging them today. They are not living in the bubble. Folks been tagging them today. What I don't know is whether or not they've responded, but I do know for a fact folks been tagging them all over the place today. Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, you name it. So far, I have not seen a response. Now, I might have missed it, but so far I haven't seen it. And that right there should tell you everything.
Exactly. And I haven't seen it either, but I just saw just how unapologetically coonish they were when yelling about Kyrie Irving tweeting, just sending out a link to Amazon link. And now Jerry Jones has been caught with evidence being a stone cold racist to the Little Rock Nine, and it's just Meek looking around like, how are the Bills and the Lions doing today? What's the weather like? Oh, it's getting really chilly. They're just trying to deny reality. And it's just like the propaganda on the white supremacy is just so blatant that they own these coons. It's just like, I just don't understand how normal black people can go around now, especially after this Kyrie Irving incident, and just go back to normal, believing that I guess these white people are going to do us some good and stuff like that.
Well, they're going to act like they don't know what to do. They're going to act like they don't know what to do. Well, it's been so long, we're not really sure. I damn well guarantee you, if you had Kyrie Irving taking pictures with Malcolm X or Jeremiah Wright, they'd know exactly what the hell to say. They'd know exactly what the hell to do if that were the case. There is no statute of
Exactly.
limitations for us. Ain't no statute of limitations.
Ever.
When they get ready to come and shake you down, all of a sudden your numbers done come up. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 843. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, TBA to Tobias out of Phoenix.
Tobias out of Phoenix. What's on your mind, brother?
Man, couple of things here. Like that guy for Louisiana trying to not need reparations. And I'm putting a sports perspective. The Pittsburgh Steelers, right, in 1933 were purchased by Art Rooney, started a team there, for $2,500. I know it was 1933, but imagine if black folks got the wealth that they deserved, the reparations they deserved back for the Civil War and Reconstruction. Look at what they could have done. And also, those in your pro sports teams, most of those have been in the family for 50, 60 years.
Oh, the
And
Steinbrenners.
look at
Like the Steinbrenners.
Yep. Like the Chicago Bulls of Jerry Reinsdorf. He bought it, I think it's like 85. He paid $9 million. It's worth he could sell that thing for $4 billion right now. And his son runs the team now. This stuff is like, look at the Lakers. That's a family-run business. This is generational wealth. But they're actually getting it because we weren't given what we owe. And maybe we got the reparation where we were owed. We won't be having to send 6-year-old girls to integrate schools alone, or like that school where Jerry Jones was at. We could have had funding for our own schools where we have to send our kids to those schools.
When you have a fully fleshed out, solidified economy, you can make moves like that. But the other thing is you have to have a vision like that. Because let's be very, very clear, this push to quote unquote integrate the schools, that didn't come from black people. That came from white folk. That came from non-white people sitting up here saying, telling non-black people telling us that was the move, that we need to integrate these things. Now, they didn't tell the Asians they needed to do that. All over California and everything else, they didn't tell them they needed to do that. They didn't tell the Jewish kids they needed to do that. They just built schools on their synagogues. I've been all up and down the East Coast. I can show you all over. They built schools on their synagogues. They didn't make that a thing for black people. We weren't told that that's the way we should deal with that. We were told the only option is to integrate. And what do you know? The first thing that they wanted to do was reverse integration. So when you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, first thing that came to my mind was the Negro Leagues. Now, there was our generational wealth. First thing they did was say, yeah. Go ahead and drop all that off. They put into place predatory business practices. So you're not protected from anything. And next thing you know, the value of what you built, which is the athletes, the value of what you built, first we grab Hank Aaron, then we're going to grab the rest of them. The value of what you built, we're going to liquidate that now. So if you just take a look at that as a thing alone, just that right there alone, the liquidation of the sports enterprises that we build, you take a look at that alone, that's all the wealth that's been built into place. That's all of it's been built into place with your municipalities aiding, by the way, with your municipalities aiding. Because in the modern era, with all these cities and states basically paying for these stadiums, you realize that's a great big gigantic welfare affirmative action fund. That's a gigantic welfare affirmative action fund. These folks, if these NFL teams are able to, if they're really worth a couple of $1 billion, that shouldn't be any problem for them to get together a group of investors or whatever to build a stadium. That shouldn't be a problem at all. You shouldn't have to be leaning on the taxpayers for anything, but there's a reason for doing that, because the more you spot somebody, remember I taught you all, you don't get rich by spending your money, you get rich by spending somebody else's. So the less of your actual cash hoard and your actual cash you have to go into, the more solidified you are. So basically it's an insurance policy. You've got the wealth, and now we're going to put taxpayer dollars in place to ensure you continue to keep it. Now for Kyrie Irving, we're going to liquidate what he got. We're going to liquidate what he's got. But for the team owner, don't worry, you're good. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and like with Jerry Jones, I see people online, not you per se, but people online. I'm like, why were they surprised? That was the thing that crossed my mind. And I tell people, these white bigots don't change. as they get older, because they gotten to where they are now. Biden, Jerry Jones, these guys being what they are. Why? What's the incentive to quote unquote change? And my last thing, it's like these people talk, well, we need to get a black owner in the NFL. You're not going to do anything with one black owner because they can still team up on that one black owner. You need multiple black owners to make a dent. And then again, they still have to be want to put black people in positions of power and on those teams. But white people have no problems doing that, and they're unapologetic about it. Until we do that as well, we're going to be in the same spot, Jason. Hey, man, thanks for taking my call. You have a good one, good brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. He's absolutely correct about that. Tobias is right, because when it comes to these stadiums, I'm talking about stadiums, concessions. Do you all realize, like in places like New York, when you get into the football leagues and the baseball teams and whatnot, man, it's a cutthroat thing to be in concessions. That's a cutthroat ass thing. So that's what I'm saying. If you all really understood just how many of these contracts are available out there, whether it be sports stadiums, basketball arenas, baseball stadiums, airports. If you in Atlanta and whatnot, it should be basically a right for you to be at Hartsfield Jackson. This is being dropped off to them. So that's why I'm saying, hey, we got to take care of that the same way. You guys see that the same way. They know what they're doing. You don't have to go on for this many damn years and nobody knows what the hell they're doing. It doesn't happen that way. They were able to start these teams. They started them young. They started them early. You got decades later. They know how to make an investment. They know the value of holding on to an investment. They know the value of holding on to an investment. They're going to hold on to it as it matures over time. Hell, by the time in these cases here, they haven't even matured yet, to be totally honest. They haven't matured yet. They haven't. These investments have not matured. They got other folk believing it has. These investments have not matured. I'm seeing we're having a couple of audio issues here. We're working on that, though, for you here. I'm on the road right now, so some of this has got some, we had some jankiness going on here for some of our connection. But I'm still here with y'all right now. Okay, I'm trying to see about getting the studio here and getting the YouTube thing back up and going like it's supposed to be doing, because it's telling me I'm on. It's telling me that I'm on here, but I'm trying to see how to get that going. Because right now I'm not able to get that to refresh like it's supposed to, but I'm working on it. Blog Talk is not working there either, so we're going to try again to see if we can get things up and going, because right now I'm not showing that I got connectivity for it. Yeah, right now it's not showing me connectivity. There's a bunch of folks here who are scared and worried. I'm checking to see, okay, I think we got our connection back over here. I'm on the road right now, so some of the connection around here is kind of janky. I'm on the road right now, but it's essential and mandatory that I go ahead and commune with you all about this. And I want you to understand what fear looks like. I want you to understand what fear looks like. When you got folks saying what they're afraid of, when you got folks saying that they're afraid of this, they're afraid, and they're afraid for a reason. You see, when black folks start talking like this, you're talking about making real changes. You're not talking about superficial changes. You're talking about paradigm shifts. You're talking about making major changes in the way things are, not temporary ones. This is a whole new vocabulary to them. This is a whole new vocabulary to them. They're not accustomed to us speaking like this in this way, because what we're supposed to be doing is sounding like, oh, well, let's reconcile this, that, and the other. And then they put out other mouthpieces for you, ones who are not going to serve your interests. They make sure they do that instead. Let's put somebody out there who's not going to serve the interests of the people. Let's put somebody out there who's not going to actually back up what we're saying. Let's have somebody who's going to sit up here and talk about, well, if I can get a little bit of something for me. I'm not talking about a little bit of something for me. I'm talking about, what? If you do these kind of things right here, this is what we're on now. No, we don't need reconciliation and truth and reconciliation reparations. Not truth and reconciliation. I don't want to sit up here and examine your moral judgment or anything else like that. As far as I'm concerned, that's a non-issue. The only thing I need to find out is what you are going to do and what we are going to do about you for the people that you have wronged. And that's it. And that's a new vocabulary to a lot of people. That is a new vocabulary to a lot of people. What they got black folk thinking is that it's our job to make friends with everybody. They are not used to that idea. They're not used to the idea. They're not used to the idea that when we speak, folk are not able, that when we speak that folk are, we're not trying to make friends with them. See, with everybody else, they ain't trying to make no damn friends with us. It's about having control. It's about having dominance. It's not about making friends with us. When we show up, all of a sudden, it's about a handshake and this, that, and the other. Nobody does that. So that's why I'm saying we need to have a change in the vocabulary. We need to have a change in the way we deal with that. I'm telling you right now, the change needs to be is like, yeah, drop the dollars. That's all we need to talk about. I don't need to discuss anything else with you. There isn't anything else to discuss. There isn't anything. We're going to be bringing up the rear forevermore. Which is the whole idea, is that everybody else will just have this gigantic head start. By the time you even get started, they're going to be light years ahead of you, so that things are essentially frozen into place forever. I want you to have a new opinion about that. No, that is not Jerry Jones money. A white supremacist doesn't have any money. Well, Jerry, I'm reformed, I'm changed. That's great. Jerry, have you paid your bill? Jerry, have you paid your bill? See, they put their money where their mouths are. They put their money where their mouths are. It's going to take a whole lot to get these folks, your Stephen A. Smiths and your Charles Barkley. It's going to take a whole lot to get them to say anything, because they understand how precarious their situation is, because they bought into the system. They're all worrying about whether or not they can get a job. We're sitting up here worrying about reinforcing black people's position, and your so-called mouthpieces they put out there, they're worried about getting a job. They're worried about getting a job with the system. They're worried about getting employed. They're worried about where else they can go. They're worried about what else they can do. Let's be very, very clear. If Stephen A. Smith's old skinback head, if he sat up here and lost his job at ESPN, what the hell else is he going to do? Tell me, who else is going to fire him? Who else is going to hire him? Who else is going to hire Stephen A. Smith? What else is he going to do? He's going to keep all his doors open. He's going to keep all of his doors open. He's not going to shut a damn one. Charles Barkley. If he wasn't sitting on ESPN kissing ass, what the hell else is he going to do? What exactly? What else is he going to do? He knows what's happening. They're not going to say these kind of things. Jalen Rose, folks were showing me, it's like, hey, Jason, he's starting to talk. He's talking like he heard what you said. I imagine he did. I imagine he did. All that buck dancing he was doing, he hadn't had an opportunity for somebody to actually respond to it. He didn't know what that was going to sound like. He figured, well, as long as I make these folks over here happy, we okay. And what he found out was that black folks stood strong behind Kyrie, and wasn't nobody standing strong behind him. He felt that. You all know I've never been this big advocate for quote unquote unity like that. But if you're going to stand, well, I am a huge advocate for being on code because that's unity with a purpose, not unity for the sake of quote unquote being in a big group together. Shout out to KDH2408 there in the super chat. Also, thank you very much for your generous support. We appreciate that. And to everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program here, let me tell you something. This is the kind of thing that makes a difference because we were supposed to have fallen off a decade ago. We're not supposed to still be here. Do you all understand that? We're not supposed to still be here right now. We're supposed to have fallen off a decade ago. We were supposed to have withered on the vine. We were supposed to have run out of energy. We're supposed to have stopped a decade ago. We're not supposed to still be here. We're supposed to have been given up. We're supposed to have been given up and been given in. We're not supposed to be sitting here holding strong about that. We're supposed to say, well, you know what? Let me see if a basketball game is on. We're not supposed to stick it out like this. You were supposed to have run out of energy a long damn time ago. I told you all, if we stand firm about that, you're going to see a whole change about it because they're going to realize, hey, this is the new normal. This is the new normal. This is not an anomaly. This isn't just one rowdy summer. This is going to be the way going forward. Don't let your cowards sit up here and deceive you. The other thing is I'm not afraid of white supremacists being up front. I'm not afraid of it. I've told you all since day one, I prefer my white supremacists be honest. I have always stood by that statement. I prefer my white supremacists be honest. I'm not afraid of them saying what the hell they think. I would rather they be honest so we can go ahead and get them out in the open. I want them out in the open. I'm glad Elon Musk has finally proven everything that we said was right and putting all his cards on the table. Hey, I'm not afraid or scared of that at all. The only ones that worry me are the ones who are still in hiding. The roaches who have come out and shown themselves, that doesn't bother me. I'm not bothered or scared or worried about that at all. The roaches who have shown themselves, that doesn't bother me. It's the vermin that are still hiding in the walls. Those are the only ones I have any concerns about. But the roaches who stand up and speak up and poke their heads up, dude, that's not scaring me. That's not scaring me at all. See, there's a lot of folk out there, they want them to be quiet. You think that's victory, is getting them to be quiet. No, victory is exposing them. Victory is putting them on Front Street. Victory is showing them. Victory is having the ability to say, hey, by the way, here you are. That's what I'm saying. Oh, Jerry Jones, he must have ticked off some damn body at the Washington Post or something. I don't know who the hell he upset, but somebody fired a shot across his bow. I don't know what he didn't pay or who he didn't pay, but Jerry Jones didn't pay somebody. Jerry Jones upset somebody, and somebody is letting him know, oh, dude, you can be touched. Somebody let Jerry Jones know, oh, you can be touched. You can be touched. Don't think for a moment we can't dig up something on you. Don't think for a moment we can't find something. So that was something else I wanted to say. It's like, Jerry, yeah, there's somebody else you done upset already. And they're letting you know. They're letting you know, yeah, dude, just in case you think you can slide, there's nobody we can't touch. We can find it out quick, fast, and in a hurry. We'll find you quick, fast, and in a hurry. It's all any skeletons you got in the closet, that we're going to bring them out, polish them off, shine them up nice, and put them on TV. So maybe he said something, maybe he did something. Somebody's letting him know. In the chat room, y'all said Washington Redskins owner Dan Snyder. I don't know. I don't know what Dan did, but somebody, I've got a feeling that somebody's letting him know. Somebody's letting him know, yeah, dude, you done said too much. Okay, everybody else lets you know. They practice some straight gangsterism out here. They practice some straight gangsterism. What? Okay, so Donald Sterling had to sell his team. The Phoenix Suns owner had to sell his team. Now somebody has got Jerry Jones in the crosshairs. Think about that for a few moments. They made these other folks sell their teams. They made these other folks sell their teams. They let them know, oh, don't worry, we found a hammer to smash your ass with. Everybody else had to sell theirs. You can be touched. You can be touched. We gonna use the black folk to do it. Okay, him selling his team, that doesn't make us whole. That doesn't make us whole. That doesn't compensate us. That doesn't balance the scales. No. See, I'm not playing that game over there. I'm not playing that one. You sitting up here and, well, you know, Jerry, we're going to knock him off. Oh, no. Matter of fact, Jerry might be more useful to us where he is. Why would I want to see you transfer the team's ownership to somebody who ain't going to do nothing? We're just going to get a new white team owner? Damn that. You got rid of Donald Sterling, gave it to Steve Ballmer. That did what for black people? You'd have been better off keeping it with Donald Sterling and telling him you got to break $20 million a year for the next 20 years. Strategically speaking, it would have been better to let Donald Sterling keep that team and tell him you got to break off $20 million a year for the next 20 years. I'd have been all in favor of that. That would have been just fine by me. Okay, make your little old bull jive ass apology, but break that bread. Every year on the year. See, that's when you're thinking strategically. I'm not interested in whether or not he's my friend or my buddy or my pal or not. I'm not interested in that. If we talking reparations and restitution, this is a different conversation. Friendship ain't got nothing to do with it. Well, we want goodwill. His goodwill can show up when it clears the check, when the check clears the bank. And we'll call that goodwill. Whether it is or whether it isn't, whether he means it or whether he doesn't, I know his check cleared the bank. We'll call that goodwill. We'll call it goodwill. But you got a situation where you got these folks in these sports leagues acting like damn me Game of Thrones and the Italian mafia, and they're using these tactics to knock each other off and jockey for position and power. Okay, but you using us as tokens to do that. No. No tokenism here. No tokenism here. It needs to be real. It needs to be real. I don't want to hear any more tokenism, and you're not going to use us as your political footballs to be able to go off and knock off somebody you beefing with or knock somebody else from the table or whatnot. No, we're not going to do that. Keep Jerry where he is and tell him he got to pay this bill. Keep Jerry where he is and tell him he got to pay this invoice. Tell him he's got to pay this invoice. That's where I'm at with it. I think I got Blog Talk back on here. Like I say, the connection's been a little bit janky here tonight, but let me get caller from area code 229. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, brother Jason. Like you said, the connection is a little bit janky here, but this is Rod from Verona, and like you say, you're mad feedback, but how much money they got. All they mad about is how much you owe them. They don't know how much they're worth. All they care about is how much you owe them. The IRS, the government, they don't care about how much money they got. They want what you owe them. We are not asking about. We're not asking for no handouts. We want what you owe me. I don't care if I'm the rich. You owe me. I want mine.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. I want y'all to understand something, whether it's Atlanta, New Orleans, Dallas, Houston, there's not a single big enterprise that you can talk about here today that does not owe us. There's not a single one about folks who profited off of us and do not owe us. There's not a single one. Coca-Cola on down. Everybody should be paying something here. So when you see something like this happening, they're talking about, ooh, you know, they've been harboring some racism against black folk. First thing we supposed to be saying is, okay, here's they invoice. Go ahead, we sending them their invoice. You got to pay this. You got to pay this. When they talk to Bill Cosby and Kyrie Irving and Mike Tyson and whatever, they said to them, okay, you got to pay this. Call of America 320. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback. But this is Nick from St. Paul.
All right, Nick from St. Paul, what's on your mind?
A lot of feedback. Ever seen the Phil Donahue episode where Lewis, there's like a 2-part episode, a bunch of questions, and he asks all the questions, and they're kind of treating him like Kanye and and before him like Malcolm and Martin, where they just deem him as an anti. They never let him get past that ever, and we've been stuck in this box since forever. They just demonize us with a word or a phrase, and we're stuck in that box. How do we get out of that box?
Exactly what we did with Kyrie Irving. That's exactly what we do. Remember when I was sitting here behind this microphone and the caller called me up and said, is there anything we can do? And I'm just like, Kyrie is finished unless black people as a group stand behind him. If we don't move, and if we make it very clear to the world that we are solid behind Kyrie, he got a chance to make it. If we stand firm and let it be known that, hey, we're not moving, it's not a popularity contest, and we are not going to allow you to just do him any old kind of way. If we make it clear that's where we stand, Kyrie's got a shot. That's the only chance he does have, is if black people just stand behind him. If black folk don't stand firm, if black folks sit up here and like we very iffy on this, see, Kanye didn't have solid support. Kanye thought he was going to get Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson to be his backup. Kanye thought that Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens were going to be his backup. He thought they were going to hold it down for him, and then he would be all right after that. And I was just sitting there the whole time saying that's not the way that works. That's not the way that works. I know the connection for the callers has been digitizing here. Like I say, maybe they're having a lot. Maybe they weren't used to us having this many people on a holiday and whatnot. They should have been ready for it. I'm going to try one more caller here. I'm going to try one more caller on Blog Talk. Hopefully they're not digitizing too badly. Let me get caller from area code 734. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Jay from Ypsilanti, Michigan. Roland Martin has thoroughly indoctrinated a lot of black folk who have money and means to actually do a lot of good for us. And the boule is real. You know what I'm saying? I had my own father call me an extremist. I said some of your videos. He's telling me I've been on black extremist websites and telling me like I gotta watch out. It's really interesting. He seems to think, I'm talking about how, the gentrification is going on in the city. When he was a kid, it was different, and he's just over here just defending the party that's doing it. I just like, do you think that there's any way to reach some of these?
No.
No,
not the old ones, not the boule, not the folks who are bought in. If your father comes from the old generation and all he wanted was a job at the plant and a house outside the city, you got to understand that was his American dream and ambition. You telling him that that's not enough, especially at his age, forget about it. First of all, you got to understand revolutions are planted by the young. They might be guided by the vision of the old, but revolutions are started by the young. It's not old cats who start revolutions. Young people do. It's young people who take to the streets, especially young people who got nothing to lose or feel they have nothing to lose. So you can't look to these old cats to hold it down for you. They're not going to do it. If his whole life's purpose and his total ambition in life was to get that house and get that 78 Fleetwood Brougham, bro, you're not going to be able to talk him off that mountain. That was it. That's why I've tried to teach you all that when you're dealing with these toothless lions, these really toothless rats, when you're dealing with them, brother, that's what you're really up against. He has no fight left in him. Far as he's concerned, all you trying to do is, quote unquote, at best, you're trying to stir up trouble, and at worst, you are convicting him of his sins and telling him that what he did was not enough. So he's thinking at this point right now, he figured after all these years he was going to get respect, and what you're telling him is you don't respect what he's done. So that's a damning indictment. That is a damning statement. To sit up here and tell him you don't respect what he's done. Because you're like, hey, I'm looking around and whatnot, and you got no power, wealth, and influence. You got a house, and meanwhile, can we keep it? Because they're pushing us out the damn city now. And he'll be like the 18-wheeler caller, hey, it ain't no real problem. You just got to pull yourself up here. So what can you do with them, brother? You can't do anything with them. That's it. They're indoctrinated. They're done. He just wants a peaceful death. For example, how old is your dad?
53.
Okay. He just wants a peaceful death at this point. That's it. Chase a few hoes, get an old car, and man, leave me alone. I just want a peaceful death. Furthermore, y'all have to take a look at your parents. And even though he's not a member of the civil rights generation, you all have to take a look at your parents when they were young and start asking them about when they start talking about you radical because you're talking against white supremacy. Take a look when he was young. Was he fighting white supremacy when he was your age? What was he doing?
He was in protest. He was in protest for, the everyday incidents that we still have today. But
I can't imagine if he's only 53 years old, though, he would have been in his 30s back when Rodney King riots happened. So did you mean 50? Did you mean 53 or you mean 63 or 73 or something?
He's definitely 53. It was when he was in college. When he started working at this school, he definitely wasn't. I wouldn't see him doing any of that.
Yeah, because I'm like, there weren't that many places. There weren't that many places for him to be protesting and things like that in the late 80s or early 90s. There weren't really that many places. So I'm not sure what you're referring to when you say he was protesting anything. I can tell you what he's displaying right now, that's not a rider. That's not a revolutionary. And here's another thing. What school did he go to for college?
He went to U of M. They're obsessed with football. That's the main thing.
Okay, now U of M, you're talking about University of
football fan.
University of Mississippi or
Michigan.
Okay, Michigan.
U of M, University of Michigan.
Okay, because I thought you said you were calling. Okay, I thought you said you were calling from the South. But here's the thing about it I want y'all to understand.
Oh, no, it's Atlanta.
There's a lot of dudes out there, if they go to these big cities, they go to these big universities, whatever, man, they was there skirt chasing. And if your dad was that, because you're talking about your dad, you ain't said nothing about your mom yet. So I'm like, okay, I got a feeling here. Are your mom and your dad still married?
No, they divorced when I was in high school.
Okay,
so,
there you go. There you go.
My upbringing.
So what I'm trying to tell you here, a lot of these dudes, when they go to these big universities and whatnot, he's telling you tall tales. Brother, if he doesn't have any photographs, it didn't happen. If he doesn't have any photographs or any witnesses, it did not happen. Okay? You all do not be deceived. A lot of these old cats who are sitting up here skirt chasing and Becky Buck dancing, now that they see that you all have a social consciousness about you, they're trying to rewrite their histories and tell you they were doing a bunch of stuff that they weren't doing because they see that you're looking at them with a more critical eye. So then they start inventing things they weren't doing. But brother, in Michigan wasn't no protest to be had. There were none to be had. Not in the 90s, not in the early 90s there weren't. There were none to be had. Y'all, 9/11 was 20 years ago. The Rodney King riots were 10 years, but in the first Gulf War was 10 years before that. We already 30 years out. So 30 years ago, when your dad was 23. No. I don't know what he told you, but you need to start saying, hey, I need to see some photographs or it didn't happen. Get some details. He was in Michigan, bro. Wasn't nothing popping off in Michigan in 80 to 89, 90? Wasn't nothing popping off up there? Wasn't nothing popping off?
He says it was going better. He says it was better in and around during the time.
It sure was.
I do have another question
It
for
sure
you.
was. No. Everything was smooth and sweet by the time he got there. Everything was perfectly fine. So what I'm saying, the only protesting he was doing was to get the blonde chicks to give him some affirmative action sex. That was the only protesting he was doing.
He never did that. Never. That's the one thing he never did.
Bruh.
Not one time.
Bruh. Okay, first of all, how do you know?
Well, I mean, and he doesn't even know any white people.
Brother, okay, this how old are you, son?
I am 23.
Y'all, I'm gonna take it easy on him. Young man, this is youthful naivete talking. This is everything you've said so far is taking his word from it. This is testimony from him and only him. You need to go talk to some other.
Roland Martin.
You need to go talk to some other people. Okay? You need more people. Brother, well, all I'm saying is he's already given the Django buck dancing talk. That should be your first sign. You cannot take his word or his testimony for it, particularly what he's saying now. So what I'm going to tell your brother is, y'all, he's young. I get it. Yeah, dude, no. N-O, no. University of Michigan, no. And you said he was in a fraternity?
Sigma.
Okay, y'all, this dude was a frat. He was in a frat in Michigan in the early 90s. The young man on my phone is naive. No offense, you're young. You taking dad's word for it. You never had anybody actually question any of this. So up until this point, it's been holy writ. Y'all, Sigma at University of Michigan in the early 90s? Come on now, the Wolverines? Really? Hope I haven't got my teams messed up. But Michigan used to come down and play LSU all the time, man. So I'm just saying, dude, I understand that's your dad. Dude, this is naivete. Ask more questions of different people. But brother, for you to think about this I'll let you ask your question, but think about this for a few moments. You're literally telling me that there's a fraternity where they're hands off the white girls. Which fraternity is that? What fraternity has
I'm not saying fraternity is
right, but I'm telling you, if he was a member of a fraternity, dude, he gonna do what they doing. That's the whole purpose of joining. You got to jump through all kinds of hoops and hurdles. He ain't going to join a fraternity and isn't going to try to outdo the others. That's the whole point of joining the fraternity. Dudes get in to try to prove their bones, rites of passage, and manhood. He's going to try to outdo the others. So you're telling me that he was a member of a fraternity, but the code of the fraternity was hands off the Beckys? Man, come on now. Come on now.
No, and I mean, he claims he never did drugs. He never did any drugs, and his all were doing that. But he never did that. But they said that he was still the life of the party. They make fun of him even to this day when we sometimes we hang out with them. You know, they
cover him for him.
Get you a fruity drink.
Yeah, they covering for him. It's like, yeah, the son don't know how far you went. We're gonna do some lightweight cracking on you, but the boy don't know how much he was really doing. So if your dad was running around naked in the back of the bleachers, they ain't gonna tell you that. They gonna giggle with him and your mom. They're gonna giggle with him and your mom. They ain't gonna tell you that. So, brother, you're 23 years old. I'm just telling you right now, 30-year difference between you and your dad. Bruh, you need to take everything he's saying with a grain of salt. The statements that you are being given are for your personal consumption. That does not mean that they are statements of fact. You go and ask some of your aunties and your uncles and just ask them, oh, did dad ever date a white girl? Okay, did dad ever have a crush on a white girl? Ask it more like that and then see what answers you get. But I would advise you to be careful. If these are not answers you really want, don't ask it. because your dad has presented himself one way. And if you ain't ready to hear what they gonna tell you, you might want to just back off this subject altogether. Because you never know when the uncle's like, I've been waiting for somebody to ask me about that nigga. You never know when that's gonna pop off. And next thing you know, they done dropped a whole damn steamer trunk full of bones on you. Yeah, I pulled all these bones out his closet. I've been waiting for you to get old enough to ask. So, I'm just telling you. By the way, your father went to the University of Michigan. Did he get a degree?
PhD.
Oh, hell.
He was in school like.
He's a PhD.
Yeah,
he's a PhD from the University of Michigan.
All of them. They all still hang out.
Okay, son. Okay, we don't need a lecture on it. Your dad is a PhD from the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
You need to and you really don't. You taking his word for it about white women. You need to ask more questions, young man. I don't have anything else to say. He's a PhD. He's a frat. And the young man, well, my dad would never do that. Really? Says who? My dad. Young man, you need to ask more questions. I'll let you ask your last question.
Well, I just wanted to ask you because, as I see in Detroit, and this is what we were discussing when he did call me an extremist, I was talking about this gentrification, and I've even been telling some of my friends that live down in New Orleans, no, you need to tell these people, tell them to quit voting Democrat. Do you think there's a fighting chance in some of these black cities in the South? Because clearly we're better off down there, period. Do you think there's a fighting chance against this gentrification? I see that we get black cops in the South, and we come up here in my town right here. We had white cops sue, calling us racist for not wanting white cops from different areas. We wanted. It was like we wanted them to live inside the area to be a cop, just like Detroit, and that's always worked. And they're calling black people racist for that in Detroit and Ipsy, and forcing us to have white cops. Just had a shooting in Detroit, and he just got acquitted yesterday.
Here's the issue.
The South, like New Orleans, Atlanta.
Yeah, here's the issue. It doesn't matter where your police officers come from if your city council and your mayor and the constituency are not on code. If the city council and the mayor and the constituency and the voting public are on code, it doesn't matter whether the cops come from Detroit, Dearborn, or Mars. What you're suffering is the result of not being on code. When y'all are on code, it doesn't matter where the workforce comes from. And if somebody does something they're not supposed to do, it's going to get stamped on big, quick, fast, and in a hurry. When you're off code, the treating is violating rights left, right, and center. So understand what the real problem is. The real problem isn't necessarily where they come from. The real problem is, are you on code so that you have control of your municipality? You can have a police department of all white people. If you control the politics and the economy of where you are, you're going to be all right. Understand what the real issue is. The real issue is being off code. Gentrification is simply a symptom of that disease. Once I can get you off code, I can ramrod through anything. So don't get it misconstrued what it is. Certainly, folks try to give you all very simplistic explanations. Problem, the explanations that we are being given today are not necessarily given to us by our best and brightest. The world is not run by A students. The world is run by C and D students. And then again, a lot of these ideas you're given are being given by individuals who have A's in academics, but no real world practical experience. Michael Eric Dyson is not a power broker. He's an ass kisser. He's made his living making white folk comfortable with him to bring them on his shows, CNN, MSNBC, Bill Maher. That's what he spent his life doing. Michael has never been able to make an independent media enterprise pop off on its own. Never. Roland Martin is the closest any of them have seen. And that's it. The rest of them, they haven't been able to make nothing pop off and jump off. Michael can't keep an independent audience of his own. He'd set everybody to damn sleep in the auditorium. And he knows it. So you got to have somebody to interrupt him. So just understand what you be thinking about there. The folks who usually come up with these ideas, not our best and brightest, the DeRay McKessons and whatnot, these are not power brokers. These are opportunists who are trying to make you believe that the fact that they've got attention on them translates to power. Yeah, in the chat room, Cornell West, yes, these are opportunists trying to convince you that attention is currency and power. And the ideas they come up with are things that sound good as a sound bite in an interview, but put into practice, that's not even the way it is. Remember, American cities have never had a problem hiring black police officers during the days of segregation. New York City, New Jersey, Chicago, they've never had black folk have always been able to get jobs at the police departments and fire departments, but you were tightly and carefully controlled. But ask any black folk anywhere. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. The commissioner of public safety, never a more ironic title for a more brutal individual white supremacist, George Dartoy, infamous for beating up black folk. But the only person more infamous than him was his house Negro. This dude used to go around and tell him, he used to pull up to the neighborhood and, I'm going to make this block, and when I come back, you niggas better not be on this corner. That was during the segregation days. So that's not new. They've always understood. They didn't have this contrivance of where the cops came from. They were on code, and that gave them control. From there, it doesn't matter where the cop lives. He's rummaging through his papers to go see if he can question his dad, so I'm going to let him get to that. Let me get caller area code 289. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Michael. Hey, Jason.
What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Michael calling from Toronto.
Michael from Toronto, what's on your mind?
Yeah. No, I appreciate what you do, man. I really appreciate what you do. I've been listening to you for a few years. I was thinking about something earlier. This technology that they have, right? The internet. I don't believe that they expected us to do what we do with the internet, right? Like, you know, people getting messages across and everything, right? I think that this technology is going to back to bite them in the ass to the point where people could show up at people's door and say, you got to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? This reparations thing, it's really actually going to happen. It's really taking legs right now. It's an exciting time to be alive. Be one. I appreciate what you do.
Black First, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Big shout out here again to my man Grind Time. He's really blessing us here. And a special big shout out here to Jerome M. Paying your tithes. Thank you very much for here. And to everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here on PayPal, Cash App, Super Chat, my man Keith, everybody else here. This is the kind of thing we want to see here, because these other folks here, when you got folks like Elon Musk taking the hood off, finally. Taking the hood off up front. If we're going to use this internet thing, you use it to get on code more than anything else. Caller from area code 512. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Eric in Austin, Texas.
Eric in Austin, what's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to make a statement, and then I want to ask a question. And my statement is, I agree, man. We got to get this land stuff out of our minds and mouth, man, when it comes to reparations, because we don't have the resources, man, to cultivate the land. We don't understand what the land is. They give us swamp land. We don't even know. We don't have the resources to build on it, to grow on it. And I just get tired of hearing the talk about the substitution of land versus money. But that was a statement. But the question to you is, when I listen to the debates and the arguments between Democrats, Republicans, if I was in a fight with you, I would basically take your weaknesses and like kill you with them and just destroy you with them so I can actually win or accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. Why is it that, it's like I know why it is, but I don't articulate. Why is it that they don't use the weapons of truth to devour each other, whether you're a Democrat or Republican?
Because black people are confused. Terms like Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, these are interchangeable terms among white society. One minute they're Democrat, the next minute they're Republican. This is why when they deal with white states like Idaho or Iowa, they talk about swing districts from Democrat to Republican. Black folk have no sway in those places at all. And yet it's a damn shootout and a gunfight in Arizona, Idaho, Iowa, Wisconsin. Black folk are not a swing vote, so just understand these are terms that are interchangeable. What is always the biggest issue during every election? The economy. Everybody is most concerned about what's happening personally with their pocketbook and how well they're prospering. Everything else is a side issue. White folk don't have this racial connection to the Republican Party. They don't see the Republican Party as a good old boy network of racists. Black folk do, but white people don't. So when we say Republican, we mean something totally different than they do. We're saying the same word, but it has a different meaning, and we don't understand that. So with that being the case, when they say Democrat and Republican, when you say, quote unquote, the truth, quote unquote, exposing, dude, these are both twin birds on the wing of white supremacy. Every time you talk about, I'm going to expose the truth, they hit you back with, well, we're white and we say so. The very folk you think you're exposing the Democrats to or exposing the Republicans to, they're looking at you saying, nigga, we're white and we say so. Well, you might be correct in what you said, but it only has as much accuracy and truth as we say it does, and we're white and we say so. So once again, just like when you use the words Democrat and Republican, it doesn't mean the same thing to you it means to them. Truth doesn't mean the same thing. Truth about the Democrats and truth about the Republicans doesn't mean the same thing to you that it does to them. You think you're going to change the world, and they're like, he's gossiping.
But what if I say, what if I want this block of votes? Blacks have typically remained loyal to the Democrat Party. If I'm a Republican and I say, you know what, I want this block of votes that can really, really change the trajectory of everything. Let me expose the Democrats' trash to the blacks, and let me try and start to take on that vote and pull all of those votes back to the Republican Party. Why don't they do that? It's almost like they don't care.
Because you don't pull votes from one party to another. People vote their best interests, and that's the way it always is. Okay. So it's not about exposing the Democrats. You can't. One of the big follies is giving people something to vote against. The most powerful thing is to give people something to vote for. One party isn't giving you anything and is being straight up honest. We're not going to give you anything. You have another party that's pretending that it agrees to give you anything, and it too has made it very clear in their underground memos, we ain't giving them nothing. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get called from area code 504. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Jason. This is Brother G from New Orleans.
G from New Orleans. What's on your mind?
All right, good evening, brother. I know you don't celebrate the holiday, but I just hope you and your family had a blessed day. I'll be brief with my points. First of all, I don't think anybody should be surprised when you look at that photograph and see Jerry Jones outside the Little Rock 9 protesting against the integration of that school, of Little Rock High School. He's an 80-something-plus-year-old man. So it's no shock to me. I've heard stories about him for a while, although I'll tell you this. I just turning into your program was the first time listening to my girlfriend was the first time I even heard about this trending today. And the other point is I'm neither shocked either that Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, Charles Barkley, and all these other bootlicks that they have on TV are saying very little. And I guess we could throw Shaq in the mix to that as well. But I want to say this point, too, about Barkley, when he's comparing or stating that blacks are the reason why are the worst when it comes to LGBTQ treatment. This is the same Charles Barkley, Jason, that said he didn't know if slavery was the worst thing to happen to black people. But they give these Negroes these platforms because they know if they said anything like what he says, they'll be labeled as racist immediately. So they give these niggas the platform to say this stuff. And frankly, what we need to do is, like you're talking about, is build our own. Let's put our stuff together. Let's put our money where our mouth is. And that way we can have our sports shows. We can have our shows where we don't have to have Negroes like this. Like we should be talking more about what Ice Cube is doing with the Big Three than what's going on in the NBA.
Well, certainly competence matters. I will tell you, in the world of internet broadcasting, Competence is not really in high supply, to be totally honest. You have a lot of sports fans and fanatics, but and this is going to sound really this might sound some kind of way to people. But what I'm saying is you really need to have somebody who is articulate, authoritative, and insightful. It's not enough to just have some dude sitting up here mumbling and grumbling at you. There's a reason why when Fox needed to put together their NFL lineup, who they chose James Brown, not the singer, the other football player, not Jim Brown, the other James Brown. They found an articulate black man who was authoritative, seasoned, insightful, but key emphasis on the articulate part. So when he spoke, he was authoritative, he was clear, he was concise. That's the guy you can anchor this around. What's missing in the world of internet commentating is that you can't take on Stephen A. Smith with a Ben Crump. I don't care how pro-black he is, you can't take that on. Shannon Sharp, the only reason he works is because they got Skip Bayless handcuffed to him. Take away Skip and he's just another mama-mouth nigga. It's Michael Strahan, they had to wait until he got articulate enough, but it's not like he's really leading because Michael can't make it unless you put a white woman next to him. So they found the formula that works for Michael. The formula that works for Michael is not another man. They don't want masculine energy next to him. They want to put some feminine energy, particularly white feminine energy. There's a reason why they keep sticking him right next to a white woman, or at least next to a female. They make sure Michael, he's too big and too black because they stick him next to a female. But what they're telling you is he's non-threatening. Shannon Sharp, on the other hand, is seen as a little bit more threatening, so stick him next to a white male. So these are formulas they put together, but if the internet would be wide open, to be totally honest, this whole thing would be wide open. There's nothing that Pat McAfee is doing that the average black NFL fan couldn't do if they were articulate enough, insightful enough, and authoritative enough to speak on it. You do that, and then you'd have somebody who'd be able to challenge them and wouldn't even have to do what they're doing on TV. Let's be very, very clear. There's a reason why Shannon and them spend most of their time on the internet. ESPN is where they make their money, but they spend most of their time on the internet and responding to that. So understand where the influence really is. If you want to break that, you're going to have, like with the new black media, if nothing else, you've got competent individuals. We're articulate. We are insightful. The big three are articulate and insightful. We don't grapple with the English language. We know how to talk to people. And we don't sound like we're some misinformed fan who just called in on the telephone. If you had that in the sports world, on the internet, on YouTube, Twitter, or whatever, it would be different. By the way, male or female, it would be different. That's the thing that you're lacking. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 313. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller from 313 is drunk. Caller from area code 602. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Greetings in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. My name is Pastor Don Jr., CEO, and I'm enjoying this Turkey Day. I have a question. What do you see to come in the year 23 once that ball drops? What do you see?
The same thing that happened in 2022. Just we'll be a year older. Simple as that. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I see folks are breaking out the eggnog early, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Folks, I've always appreciated having the ability to confront these things openly. I've always appreciated that because it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't shock me. I'm not worried about it. I'm not looking to make friends. There isn't anybody who's going to jump on this, oh, I never would have thought them. And it doesn't bother me because I already know what to do. I already know what to do about a Jerry Jones. I already know what to do about an Elon Musk. I already know what to do about a Mark Zuckerberg. Exposing them isn't even necessary. Understand something. Nobody's really exposed Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm already saying, hey, you got to cut your check. YouTube, we already know their racism in the algorithm and that's engineered, but I'm not waiting for anybody to pull out any memos. I'm saying right off the bat, you got to cut your check too. Everybody's got to cut their check. Everybody. We don't have to sit up here and run you through any interrogation process, no trial necessary. All of you line up and it's time to run the paper. That's it. And we're going to stay on your asses henceforth and forevermore. Reparations, I said it from the very beginning, reparations across the board, and that includes all institutionalized wealth, including Silicon Valley, all of you. You all have a debt to be paid. I'm here to present your invoices. But to be totally honest with you, you don't have to even bring me a picture of Jerry Jones. As far as I'm concerned, that might as well be Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and the rest of them might as well be standing next to Jerry right there, because you're all equally culpable and you all equally owe. So we got Jerry in the picture, but there might as well be others. Shout out there to James Mitchell in the super chat and everybody else who's tuned in. I know this has kind of ruined the evening for some people here. Thank you for sticking with us through our technical difficulties here, but we are doing it tonight like we always do. I want to thank all of you who have contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. Thank you all for being real about this. If you want to know the reason why we have made the progress that we have over the last decade, it all boils down to one simple truth. We have stood firm, unapologetic, unadulterated, and uncompromising. You don't change things like this. You don't move mountains like this by wavering. We stayed uncompromising. And what happened with Kyrie Irving is just another indication of what happens when a people are together and on code and will not compromise about it. The winds have changed. There's been a shift. And everybody knows it. At this point right now, they want to see how far it's going to go. And it's going all the way to black empowerment. That's where it's going. So I want to thank all of you who tuned in here for tonight's program. Thank you very much for stepping in with us here. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this all the time, every major holiday. So we will be back on Christmas Day. We will be right here giving Jerry Jones fits. Did the Cowboys play their Thanksgiving Day game? Because I think Cowboys play their Thanksgiving Day game. Whatever it is, we giving them fits on Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and anything else. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time. If you haven't been to our website, BlackChannelFilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD, streaming, and Amazon. Go to BlackChannelFilms.com. That is BlackChannelFilms.com. Link is in the description. I want to thank all of you for joining us here tonight, and this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. No Thanksgiving 2022. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.